welcome to today's event, the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month newsletters. It's an inside look into the lives, experiences, perspectives of different members in the AAPI community. I'm Audrey Fields, and my guest today is Mr. Ron Esposo.
So I grew up in Zambales, Philippines, and I finished high school there, and I migrated from the Philippines to America when I was 16, right after high school, and then I moved to San Diego, California, and I did after moving there, 17 years old, I automatically went to college. Yeah, it was a struggle at first, I never had a car. I have to take the bus, the trolley, go to the university. And I had 3 jobs. I had, of course,
wow.
back then, I'm fortunate enough that my auntie or my aunt took me in, and I was staying at her house until I finished college. But I only finished 2 associates. I got liberal arts and business admin associates in San Diego City College, and then I figured that I should pursue other things. So they thought that I was good in math. I'm not sure if I was, but I ended up doing accounts payable to a different company called Cubic Corp. And after spending 3 years there, I was about 24. I decided to join the Air Force. So initially, my brother wanted me to join the Navy because my parents, not my parents, my relatives, my uncles and cousins, they were in the Navy, and San Diego is a big Navy town. And my brother was a corpsman for 5 years, but he said I could do better, so I decided to join the Air Force. So I joined at 25, and I was gonna go sign. I did sign up for 4 years, and I was gonna get out after 4 years. I did get my CCAF, which is the Community College of the Air Force associate's degree, and I was gonna get out, but the Air Force gave me an assignment to United Kingdom. So I did sign up for another 4 years. So I spent 3 years in RAF Alconbury, Royal Air Force Alconbury. And then I was gonna get out again. And then they decided to give me another assignment down the road, which is Royal Air Force Mildenhall. And after that, I spent another 3 years there. So all in all, I was 6 years in the UK. And now I'm here in Alaska, Jaber, Alaska. I'm coming into my 4th year. Now my enlistment is indefinite. So it's up to, my higher tenure is 2031 right now, currently. So that's a long time. And recently in February, I actually transferred to United States Space Force. I got picked up for that, and then just recently got an assignment to Vandenberg Air Force Base. I will be moving there in September. So I'm currently in the process of out processing and selling my house, so it's going to be busy this summer.
Yeah, well,
And that's all I have.
congratulations on
Thank you.
getting selected for the Space Force. It looks like you're going back to California, so that's exciting.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to represent my shirt, so I kind of like Space Force stuff.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah, rocking it, So
What was your childhood like, or just growing up, in the Philippines and then transitioning over to California? I know that's where I moved to as well. So I know there's a big, Asian community there, but what was the differences in your opinion?
um, there's a huge difference, but living in the Philippines, right? You used to, just living as a Filipino, you get your day to day, and then moving to California is definitely a culture shock because you got different. It's very diverse, especially in California. You get the Black Americans, you get the Caucasians, tons of Mexicans too because of where the location is, and and a bunch of Filipinos because we always think of the West, and a lot of people move to California for Disneyland and all that stuff, right? But
Yeah.
when I moved to America, I met a friend, of course, Filipino, and speaks Tagalog. And one way I found friends back then was I like to play basketball. I've been playing basketball for a long time, and that's when I met this guy. And then until to this day, we're still friends. And he was my best man during my wedding. And yeah, I felt like the connection. And it's sad to say that I tend to lean towards the Filipino when I uh, migrated to the Philippines, but I mean to America. But the thing is, you have that instant connection once you
Mhm.
hear another Filipino guy know how to speak Tagalog and who also came from the Philippines. So you become like your peer and your confidant and everything else. So yeah.
No, I totally get that. I think it's important to find those people instead of being judged, you find
Yes.
somebody that's kind of like you and they help you out. So,
I would say for the military, I never had that, which is great.
mhm.
The only thing I remember with military though is whenever you tell them you're Filipino, they automatically ask you if you know how to make lumpia or when is the karaoke, those stereotypes. And yeah, mainly that. Or I the things that they would ask would say, they would ask, oh, I know this Filipino guy back in wherever I was stationed. Do you know him? I was like, well, no, because it's a big community. There's a lot of Filipino out there, and it's not it's not like I know everyone. So that's one in the military. But discrimination wise, I never felt that, and that's what I like about the military. Before I joined the Air Force, definitely working in a when I used to work in a restaurant, a customer came up to me, and being a first generation, I tried my best to speak English during that time. And then straight up blandly told me, like, do you speak English? Not even giving me a chance to say something. And I think those people are just not, they don't have any open mind. They don't have open mind to, I don't know. I still remember that day. But, after a while, I forgot, you just move on with it. And then a couple of times when I was in Canada as well, nothing against with Canadians, but twice when I was in Canada, um, it was the same thing. It was, I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's just the way I was treated there. It was not good. So it's not like I don't want to go back to Canada, but I will still go back to Canada, which we're driving through there. But you still, after experiencing those things, you kind of like have that PTSD. You'll never go away, but you move on from it. So yeah, just me being having an open mind is the key to it.
Mhm.
And best thing to do is educate the people around you. And because most of this most people in the military or other people non-military, they come from a different background too. I don't know where they came from. So if they tell me how they used to live, and I will understand, I will have an open mind. And I also ask them to have the same attitude towards me when I tell them where I came from and how I grew up. They have their own struggle, I have my own struggle, but at the end of the day, we're still all human. Just be kind to one another. That's all I teach my kids to be a good person every day, and I think that's all I have for that.
Who do you have like a inspiration growing up that helped, get you to where you are now?
So when I was young, actually, it was my dad. My dad, he's a engineer, a mechanical engineer back home, and my mom too. My mom is she's a seamstress. She has her own dress shop. So with her hard work and my dad's engineering skills, those two are my primary idols, I guess. And then suddenly when I moved to America, that's when my brother kind of like took over to become my ideal mentor and a go-to per se. Since my parents were back home or still back home right now, my brother, kind of pushes me to the right directions. And right now I'm in IT, and I never liked computers back then, but now since my brother was in IT, I kind of like went towards that way. And then my brother was in the Navy, but he pushes me to go to the Air Force and now Space Force. So yeah, I think I owe it to my brother. um, I would say 80 to 90%, and then my dad when I was younger, that my dad and my mom, of course. For professionally, so at work right now, I've been always the go-getter. I always prioritize stuff. I'm very task oriented, and I always make checklists. So my checklist would be the first stop would be checklist, making the checklist first, all those kind of things. So just to make sure we're all on track. And because as a master sergeant now, as senior NCO, they treat us like a quarterback. Quarterback, you want to make sure everyone is knowing the same play,
Mhm.
making sure everyone's in online and on track. That's about it.
Now, how do you differ within your professional and just your social life? Are you different? Are you the same?
I am the same, but sometimes I think in everyone, when you go to work, you have that different face. But at the same time, I bring the humor and being a nice person at work, being helpful all the time, and not very judgmental. Everybody is very judgmental, but I try not to. Just
Mhm.
have an open mind, and yeah, just be kind. And yeah, I do the same thing at work. And if you can help anybody, especially the younger airmen, for me, I have less ahead of me, and then versus behind me. So I only have 6 more years left for my career until I hit 20. So
Mm.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna continue after that. We'll see. I would say I should have focused on English more when I was younger, because I struggled when I migrated to America. And I, to be honest with you, I did try to become an officer, and my toughest part was the English part. And it was difficult for me to um, get better at it. But every day, um, I would say I try my best, and of course, my family corrects me every time I say something, bad grammar or whatever. So, but yeah, I would say, and I basically focus more in English. I would say that, and be more patient. I'm just really a go-getter before, and kind of like impatient. I just want to make things happen. But if I could just step back a little bit and see the bigger picture, I think I could make more affect other things in a positive way. So
What do you want your legacy to be, and how do you want to be remembered?
um, for me, I would want to be remembered as the guy who always trying to help others. Um, not to be just want to be liked, but it's just one of those things that you want to be perceived as a good human being. That's it. If you're just good, and then I don't think when you do something nice to other people, helping out other people, they'll remember that rather than verse. I mean, there's the other devil's advocate. If someone did something bad to you, they'll remember that too, but not in a good feeling way. So by helping out others, very helpful, being generous, which I apply the same concept every day at work and at home. If they remember me as that, then that would be great.
Awesome. Um, how do you define failure?
Failure is so in many ways it's a open opportunity. It's a learning experience. You learn every failure. There's an opportunity to learn something new, and I don't see failure as a negative way. Um, like for example, I failed other certifications in IT world, and if you fail the certification, you just tend to learn more and more until you pass it. So it's just maybe sometimes when you fail, you're just not ready during that time, but eventually you're gonna learn and be ready for the next time. Biggest risk. Um, Actually, my biggest risk was transferring from Air Force to Space Force. So I did ask a lot of questions, and sometimes we get complacent with the things that we do every day. But me joining the Space Force actually opened up opportunities. Just taking that risk, taking a leap of faith, I guess. And now I'm going back to California, where I've been trying to go back there since I joined the military. So after 14 years traveling the world, now I'm going back to California. So if I didn't take that opportunity or that risk, then I would not be there this coming September. So
That's what do you think is the biggest challenge that people kind of hit in achieving its success?
For that, just taking the risk, and you know, they always try to be in a bubble and try to be complacent. If you take that risk, so many things that I heard, if you're comfortable, you're not growing. But if you keep going to a place that you're uncomfortable, you tend to s- thrive, right? So, and I know for sure, like in our lifetime, whenever we encounter any problems, we always tend to find solutions. And if you put your place in those situations, you're definitely going to adapt, find ways to fix the problem or overcome any barriers. And I think that would be, my advice to people out there.
Because of COVID, there's like a rise in Asian hate crimes or crimes against Asians. Um, as leaders, what can we do in our community to prevent hate crimes against AAPI members?
As I mentioned earlier, a lot of us I would say in America, since I'm American now, um, we live in a big country. However, many of us live in a place where, for example, like let's say in Idaho, in a small town, they never seen a Filipino guy or any type of Asian. Of course, they will have no instant connection if they see another Asian folk, right? Or just
Yeah.
walking down, and they have different feelings already. They don't have that comfortable feeling towards that person. but I think I would say in our lifetime, we should travel. Travel is one of the things that when I went to the UK, it's a different kind of English, but I was open mind and I was able to go to different countries, and having that open mind and educate yourself on other people's background and culture and all those things, just you know yeah, mainly educate people, because some people that who doesn't travel, um, will not experience that and not kind of be exposed. Like I said earlier, if you're comfortable in your area in one spot, you're not growing as a person too. So if you go to a different country, you're like, okay, there's no Walmart here, but there's other things that I could do, or you know what I mean? So, but you will adapt and learn new things and learn other people's background, and that makes you more diverse and open mind.
So essentially, just a little bit more education and exposure to the different diversities.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
I would say it did because of where the COVID originated. And like I said, some folks don't realize or doesn't know the difference between what culture different cultures are, and they're just not open-minded with, I kept saying open-minded, but they're just gotta you gotta learn the facts. Always
Yeah.
work on facts, not just what you hear from the news, what people are telling you. Go straight from the source. Like educate yourself from what's going on, what the vaccines can do to you, and what can help you when you take the vaccine or whatever it is. By the way, I'm not saying everyone should take the vaccine, but I did take mine, and as a leader, I want to be part of the solution versus part of the problem.
What advice would you give our audiences, both young and old, on how they can be better leaders in our communities?
I'll basically I will stick to my principles. Like every day, I once I walk out the door and when I go to work, as a serviceman, I would say as an Air Force or airman or Space Force, I don't know even know now, but I would always follow my core values. And as a Filipino, I grew up in the Philippines. I use all the values I learned from there by being generous, good person, Respect is the main thing, I would say. That would be my advice to everyone: is respect. Respects people's space, their religion, their race. Just respect. Um, I think we lose that nowadays, and we should start teaching that in school. It's just the first thing you do is respect your environment, respect your elders and others. That's all I can say. Yeah, I just want to say, I guess I'm glad that this AAPI is happening this month, but we shouldn't wait until May to start talking about this kind of things. I think we should continue throughout the year and educate everyone and help everyone out while we can, versus excluding other people. Even though there's other races out there that want to join us and very adamant of helping us and be involved, please, people out there, reel them in, bring them in, and expand their knowledge of how AAPI can contribute to the community and to the service.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our interview. Appreciate you, Mr. Esposo. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.